as we find ourselves in the last few hours now of 2020, many of you, like me, will be looking back and thinking about what has been and what lies ahead of us in 2021. 2020 has been a painful time for us all. You will have seen up and down the land that in times of troubles, communities come together, and our own community around the parish of Holy Trinity, Weymouth, have been no different. They have pulled together to support one another, and I thank God for all who have been involved in serving others in need. But I also want to pay tribute to my own church family at Holy Trinity Church, Weymouth, who have stayed together, cared for each other, and in so doing have touched other people's lives with the hope of the Christian gospel. I hope too that for those on internet, all of you have had the chance to stay connected to the church, and while not physically in church every Sunday, have been able to worship with us from your homes. Similarly, for those who have not been on internet, I hope that you have found the regular one-to-one newsletter has kept you up to date and connected. And we shall continue to do this into the future. Special thanks must go to my church wardens at Trinity, who with me have tried to keep the day-to-day business of the church going. And to all of you who have persevered in trying to keep the church open out of lockdown for prayer and worship. Thank you all most sincerely. So what of 2021? Perhaps you may be feeling anxious and worried about what lies ahead as the pandemic worsens, despite the hope of vaccines, and we finally leave the European Union. For all of us, it may feel like stepping out into the unknown. Any new year starts with questions. You, like me, will have questions in your hearts and minds. Will 2021 be another cruel year like 2020 because of the pandemic? Will the vaccines be enough? When will I get mine? Will the economy now begin to turn around? And will people now be able to turn and find work again? Well, the first questions that we raise in our hearts and minds are often the most important ones. As we approach the feast of the Epiphany, that is the day the church sets aside when we recall the arrival of the wise men, the Magi, kings from the east to Jerusalem. We remember the Magi asking the first question of the New Testament, according to Matthew. Where is the child born to be king? As you all know, they asked the question to the wrong person. They asked the question to the evil Herod. But when they eventually followed the star and got to Bethlehem, they found the baby born to be king, Jesus. It's always important when we have big and significant questions to ask the right people. As we rejoice at the great gifts we have received in vaccines for COVID from the skills and knowledge of scientists, we will still ask the questions. Will they work? Mankind is not in control of our planet, and we have seen this in 2020. I, like you, will have been asked many times as a Christian in times of war, disaster, and now the pandemic, where is God in all this? Perhaps that's the biggest question of all as we move swiftly now towards 2021. But of course, I cannot fully answer that question any more than you can. But I can encourage everyone to look at the Gospels and see and hear the greatest attribute given to the child Jesus, Emmanuel, God with us. For me as a Christian priest, and I hope for you too as Christians, I know that whatever happens to us in life, God is with us in Jesus Christ through his humanity, suffering, and his death on the cross. I believe he reaches out to us in our need as God who is with us, whatever, wherever, whoever we are and in the situations we find ourselves in. God never said that things were going to be easy or that we will escape the dangers and problems of life. However, he does give us, all of us, a lifeline. And that is the strength to endure what comes our way, even though we may not always recognize it at the time. God is with us in the joy and despair, the hopes and fears of all the years, and of course, in the tragedies. As we begin our journey as Christians at Holy Trinity Weymouth, and as a parish and community, and all those who happen to be watching and listening to this message today, wherever you are, please know that you are never alone. God is with you. God is with us, even when we do not recognize him. I wish you, all of you, God's special blessing as we begin 2021.